Hi there, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting and I've got some new stuff to show you. This is some new paper that's being released for a very short time only. It's called Classic Christmas. I've been cutting about with this with some curvy dies, which you'll see that from a previous blog post that I've done. But this paper's lovely. If you've got a batch of Christmas cards to make, and really we need to start thinking about that, don't we? But it's got some really lovely colours. So we've got the this is cherry cobbler with the dots, looks like snow to me. Got some leafy things on the back. This is in the Sahara sand. I thought it was crumb cake, but actually it's lighter than that. So this is Sahara sand. So it's got some really nice images to use for the background of your cards, or if you just want some simple cards, which is what I'm going to show you today. I love this cherry cobbler, absolutely love it. And then this green is shaded spruce. That makes my eyes go funny, but I love that. Really, really love that. I think the Sahara sand and the cherry cobbler goes really well together. That's not too bad either. Don't think I would put, oh, I don't know, might put those together. So that's a new set of papers that's out now. I'll leave a link to that in my blog post. There's a link to the blog post in the description bar. So this project is going to be a 6x6 one sheet wonder, and what I'm going to do today, this just gives you, I'm going to use this paper, and this gives you, in fact I'm going to use that, I love that, we'll use that, and this is perhaps a suggestion for alternatives for your Christmas cards, but you could use them as a base for anything at all. So I'm going to be using this, so just one sheet of that. There are, how many are there? There are 48 pieces of 6x6 card in that pack. So I'm going to show you how to get 4 cards out of one sheet of paper. You're also going to need a paper trimmer. I've got 3 sheets of Whisper White cardstock to make 4 cards. I need 2 sheets to do the card bases, and then I need a sheet of white just for the background bits, and then I've just got some scraps of Whisper White for sentiments. Haven't even decided yet what sentiment I'm going to use. And then I've got some just bits and pieces of cherry cobbler that I had, and that's just to make up the layers. You're going to see this in real time. It is a slightly longer video than normal, so all of the measurements and things will be on my blog. So this is going to take a good 20 minutes at least to get through. So if you want to press pause, go and grab yourself a brew and then come and watch, and then decide if this is what you want to use as your basis for Christmas cards. It's something that perhaps that isn't very traditionally Christmas, because sometimes we just want to move away from that traditionally Christmas thing. We might need to make cards that we wouldn't necessarily traditionally send. Anyway, I'm rambling on. So I'm going to be making up all of my cards, all of my bases in real time. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off with 2 sheets of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to slice each of those in half, and I'm just going to do standard card bases today. So on the long side of the Whisper White, I'm going to trim that down to 5 7/8. And we do that twice, so I get 4 cards. Now in the past I've done 12 by 12 one sheet wonders, and yes, for one sheet of 12 by 12 they do produce a lot of cards, but sometimes also that's a lot of work. So if you don't have a lot of time, then you're able to put these together quite quickly. So the next thing that I want to do, completely forgotten now what I want to do. Yes, I want to do a cherry cobbler layer. Each of these layers is going to measure, I think I want to do 5 5/8. I want 1/4 of an inch, no, 1/8 of an inch all the way round. So 5 5/8. Oh, that's not cut very well. And this is by 3 7/8. So I've got 2 of those, just need 2 more. I think I've just got enough of that here. So 5 5/8. Going to need lots of liquid glue to put this together as well. And I've got a bottle of that handy, stood upside down the other side of my desk, ready to put all of this together. Let's just do the last one. A bit of a scrap piece here. Hopefully that will fit. Yes. So there are 4 pieces of those. So I've got 4 of them. And what I didn't do was score my cards. And I'm going to score these at 5. In fact, I'm not going to score them. I'm just going to fold them in half. I sometimes find the scoring isn't exact. So actually what I prefer to do is this, and just fold that over carefully, make the corners match, hold that in place, and then with the bone folder, and that way I can just ensure that that is exactly half, and that's your card base. And what we're going to do is then put our piece of cherry cobbler on there like that, and we have a nice border all the way around. So quickly off camera, I'm just going to sort the rest of those out. So prepared all of those. I've not stuck these on yet because I prefer to just decorate these first, so that if there's an accident, I haven't wasted a card base. So there are my 4 pieces. Choose your piece of DSP that you want. You don't have to choose a Christmas themed card. I mean, to be honest, this is just stars on some cherry cobbler coloured paper. It's not necessarily Christmassy. And what I'm going to do with this is slice it in quarters, just keeping this nice and simple. So slice at 3 inches and then turn those both around and slice them again at 3 inches on the long side. And the other good thing about this pattern is that we're not trying to match anything up. I've done this before when I've had pattern paper where it's all got to match and it's just all a big headache, and so I'm not doing that with this one. And what I'm going to do is have 4 different designs for each card with backing on them as well. So let's start with the first one. So the first one, I'm going to go with the trickiest one, just because it's slightly more difficult to put together. And what I'm going to do is make some marks on the back of this. And I'm not going to be using my trimmer, I'm going to be using a big pair of scissors for that. So with a ruler, whoops, with a ruler and a pen, or a pencil if you want, it doesn't matter, nobody's going to see the back. At the bottom, just make a mark at 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to join that mark there with that corner. You can just put this straight in your trimmer if you like, but if you're not feeling confident to do that, then you can do this. But if you do it on the back so that when you cut it, you won't see any pen marks. And I'm just going to get, big scissors work better with this than the snips. And I'm just going to cut up that line there. Just going to keep that there like that for now, keep everything in the same place. And I'm going to cut up that one like that. So that's what we have at the moment. So I'm going to switch this round. Oops. And then what I'm going to do is just then make exactly the same, but in a slightly bigger piece of Whisper White card to make a border around it. So we take a piece of Whisper White And we need a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures 3.5 inches square. And we're going to do exactly the same with this as we did with the paper. Now I have tested this out. I just need to check that maybe we would have been better off with a piece of card that was 3.25 inches, but we'll see how we go. Looks like my blade needs replacing. So what we're going to do is find the middle of this. Now half of 3.5 is 1 3/4, I think. So 1 3/4 inches. I'm just going to mark that with a pencil and then the same again. Take your scissors or put it in your trimmer and then just carefully cut those out. Like that, and I'm just going to turn them round just so that we can't see any pencil mark. So hopefully this 3.5 inches works. And so we take our, you know, it's a bit big, but I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to leave it like that. And then what I'm going to do is then arrange that onto my cherry cobbler card. Like that. So that's got to go that way round. It's not going to work the other way. So what you'll then do with liquid glue is then stick those down, and then we'll put, I'll probably find a sentiment to put across it like that, but we'll do that last. So let's just put those away. I'm going to glue those in a minute and I'll show you everything together. Okay, so the next one, take your next piece. Now this is slightly fiddlier, this one. It's more straightforward, but fiddlier. And you're going to, every 1/2 inch, slice a piece of this off. Try, if you can, to keep these in the same order, especially if you are using paper that has a distinctive pattern on them. But I think if they go out of order, it's not really a big deal. Okay. Take those out of there, and then we're going to do something very similar with the white cardstock. So I've got that there. So we want a piece that measures 3 1/8 inches. In fact, I'm going to do that way. Yeah. I'll be able to get more out of the card then. And then these strips need to be 5/8 of an inch. So yes, it's fiddly, but hopefully you'll think it's worth it. Oh, my keyboard's falling off. How many is that? 4. So we just want 2 more. So with these, if I can pick them up, what you're going to do is then stick them on there like that, and then arrange them on your card. So this really is the super fiddly bit, but not complicated. So I would hope that you agree that this isn't a complicated thing to put together. Now, rather than have them all standing in a line like that, which then we might think, oh, we've got to get them equal and they've got to be straight. Well, why not think about not having them straight? Let's just put the last one on. And you could arrange them where we've got that one up there, and this one's a bit further down, then that one's there, that one's all the way up there. And so you could arrange them, get them roughly where you want them to be. Don't try and think about putting them straight. I just think that you'll be spending so much time with a ruler. You might even want them, I don't know, just not standing straight at all, and they're all a little bit drunk. Do you know what? It's up to you how you put them together. You might want to overlap them. For me, I'm just going to have them like this. I'll rearrange them and glue them all down off camera. You don't want to watch that. Just make sure that you get it relatively central to the card. And again, we might just have a sentiment going right across the middle. We'll work that bit out in a minute. So I'll put that to one side. Onto the next one. So this, take your square, and you back with your trimmer. Take a piece that is 3/4. So this is the top, this is the bottom. 3/4. This one is 1.5, and then the last one is 3/4. Like that. And then you're going to get another piece of Whisper White. And what are we going to have for this one? So these are going to measure, just try not to waste loads of card. I'm going to go 3 1/8 there. So 3 1/8. This piece measures 7/8. The next one is 1 5/8, and then you want another one that is 7/8. It's like a maths lesson, isn't it? So with your next piece of card, that in the middle. So the 1.5 inch piece in the middle, and then these, actually that one goes there, either side. So that one's nice and simple. So we get that glued down, and then actually what we could do is have that at the top. So more towards the top than the middle. And then we can put our sentiment on the bottom. So these one sheet, these 6x6 one sheet wonders are probably better using the smaller images. So let's put that to one side, ready for gluing. And the last one, this is slightly more tricky. Okay, it is definitely more tricky. And when I practice these, I use the paper trimmer, but actually now I'm not going to. So with a pencil and the back of the paper, I'm going to draw a line from one corner to the other. And then we're going to roughly work out, and I might need centimetres. No, that's not going to help me at all. So from that middle line to the edge is a tad over 2. So it's 2 1/8 by the look of it. So if we make a mark 1 1/16, we just want it to be as exact as we can get it. And then you're going to do the same on this side. So from that corner to here is 2 1/8. So 1 1/16. Just going to check that that is equal. No, see, that's 1 inch. I knew something wasn't right there. That's better. Right. So just cutting up the middle and then the 2 lines either side. Like that. So I still want it that way, but I need to turn these round. So this one kind of messes with your head a little bit. So I want it to sit on the card like that. But I'm going to have the white behind it. So I did really have to play about with these. And I started off with a piece of card that was 3 1/2 inches. No, 3 3/4 inches, but that was too much. 3 1/2 is ideal. So whisper white, again, that's not big enough. So 3 1/2 inches square. What time are we at? 22 minutes, nearly 23 minutes already. But I'm not going to make you sit and watch me put all of the sticking and gluing together. So I'm going to do the same thing, just take a pencil line across the centre there. This is about 2 1/2 inches, pretty much 2 1/2 inches. So 1 1/4 inches there. So like that, and we'll do the same here. So if you make 2 marks, then you know that you're going to get it straight. That's what I was always taught at school anyway. And then we'll just cut those as well. So have you all made your Christmas cards? Or are you like me and like to leave them to the last minute? I haven't made really any Christmas cards yet, none. So I want to turn these round. I think I might have just confused it there. Oh, I did. No, that's it, there we are. So that is going to sit there like that, and then the bits that we cut out with our DSP are going to sit on there. Now, you don't have to have background pieces to all of these, but it does just give it a little bit more interest. So if this is all kind of frying your brain and thinking, no, this is too complicated, then do you know, that's fine. Just make it easy for yourself and just start with the pieces, but put them on something where you're going to be able to see them. Now for these 2 pieces here, I'm actually just going to trim off a little bit off the side there. So I'll do that once it's glued. So that is going to sit, now we're going to work this out. I'm going to put that this way. Like that. That just about fits. And on there, like that. So that's all 4 of them done. I'm going to go away now and just glue them all together. And then I'll be back to then layer up and put the sentiments on. So there's one of them stuck down. So there are the layers, and I've just kept this slightly higher than centre, and then I'll put a sentiment on there. This one is definitely the fiddliest, and what I would suggest is that you, before you stick anything down, so I've stuck the DSP, must have a bit of glue on my finger, I've stuck the DSP to the white cardstock, and I'm just having a little bit of a move round until I'm happy with it. And then you can decide how you're going to put them together. Now you could, if you wanted to, stick them down with dimensionals. I'm just going to stick with glue for now. And I think you could probably just be going around forever, just moving them up and down. Don't overthink it. That's where I'm going to stop. And then just stick those down ready for the sentiment. So I'm just sticking now that layer onto my white card. And at some point when we come to put the sentiment on, we're just going to decide, are we going to have it like that? Are we going to have it like that? Be up to you. We'll wait for the sentiment, so we could put perhaps a round one on there, or then a rectangular one across the middle. We'll make our mind up about that afterwards. Ready for the next one? So with this one, my advice would be to really take some time to make sure that it's straight. I might just be looking at that too much, but to me, it's not straight. So yeah, you'd have to be careful with that. You know, I don't think it matters what way round that goes. That shows actually that, yeah, you could get away with that being straight. It's totally different, isn't it? That is just completely different. And I think I'm just going to go with that. And yes, I know that my blade needs replacing. I quite like that. In fact, I like that better than that, and I'm going with that because I can just move that about. I like that. I'm really chuffed with this 6x6 one sheet wonder, because I haven't, you know, what I've done in the past, gone on Pinterest, see what other people have done, and then work that out. But this has come straight from me, and I'm hoping that this kind of looks quirky enough for it to be a little bit different, for people to take some notice of it. Or you might just hate it. We're all different, aren't we? And I'm going to decide in a minute where I'm going to put the sentiment on that. I've absolutely no idea. I'm thinking maybe here. Anyway, this one's going to be the slightly more difficult one. With this one, I put the triangles on first, the white triangles, and then I put the paper on. With this one, I'm going to very carefully get the DSP onto the white card and then trim the white card. Now, as much as I really want to trim that there, I think I'll lose the shape of the square. So I think I've got no choice than to just put them on as they are. Now this one, I want to take special care to make sure that I get these straight. And that would be my advice to you, to get them down first here. And then once you're happy with that, then get them glued on. And what I would do, I'm still not happy that that's straight. And probably once I put it together, it won't be straight, because I'll be rushing a little bit because, you know, I don't want this video to be too long. But take your time in getting those looking as straight as possible. And again, you're going to decide if you can have a card that way or that way. I think I quite like it that way, but let's get it stuck down and then we can decide. Now this one I'm not quite as happy with. It's not come out as straight as I would like. And would never go out to anybody as it is. I think I just needed to spend a little bit more time in making sure that it was straight. Maybe putting some pencil marks on to make sure that they line up. So that would be my advice to you if you're going to do that. Maybe get some very light pencil marks to make sure that it joins up. So yeah, I'll still try and see what I can do with the sentiment, but that's not gone quite as well as I expected. We'll hide that one under there. So time for sentiments. So I'm using the Curvy Christmas. This is also a new stamp set that's come out for a limited time only. And I love this sentiment here, and this is going to be perfect for this. I've stamped out, I've punched out rather, a 1.5 inch circle, and that fits that quite nicely. So what I would normally do to make sure that I got that circle straight, stamp a sentiment onto the card. Oh, and it sticks. I don't know why that stuck. And get your 1.5 inch punch. We only have 3 circle punches now, but you could use, if you wanted to, some shape dies. That would be another good way of using that, of getting a different colour circle, sorry, a different size circle, or square or oval. So make sure that's central, punch it out. So with this one, because I actually want my rectangles to go horizontally, I like that. And I'm just going to put that on there like that, nice and simple. And I'm going to put that on with mini dimensionals. I'll find my tweezers. I'm going to be super mean and just put 2 on there. Watch Crafty Karen Design shout at me for only using 2. And I'm just going to put that like that in the middle. So that's card 1 done. I quite like that. I prefer that horizontal to vertical. This one, I think we're going to have more of a horizontal, of a longer sentiment. So let's see what we're going to have. Right, I found one. So for this card, I've got something that is slightly longer, and this is the Thinking of You at Christmas. So it's on a bit of a curve, and I just put that on some card that is 3/4 inch by 3 1/8, and then it just matches. It matches this. So I'm not going to stick that on with a dimensional because it will make that raised, and everything else is not. And I think I'm going to use this one as well for the other 2 cards. So I've stamped that in Cherry Cobbler just to keep the theme of the card. I'm not going to rub across there. Hopefully that's not smudged. There you are. So that is card 2. I can't even look at that other one yet. So we've got this one, and I am going to keep it like that. I am going to keep it like that, and I think I'm going to put my sentiment there. I don't know. There. Let's put it there. So let's go back to that other Merry Christmas. You can really get creative with these. And I hope what I've done is just given you an idea of what you can do and how creative you can get. My advice would be take your time in getting it straight. If you don't work in straight lines, that's the best one for you. This one, if you find it difficult, I've got shocking eyesight, so I can't always see if it's straight or not. So this probably wasn't the ideal project for me, but I like to think out of the box sometimes. So we got that. I quite like that. And then this disaster, which is pretty much what it is. I'm going to do the same as I did for the other one. So 3/4 inch by 3 1/8. Just because I know 3 1/8 fits that sentiment quite nicely, which was just a stroke of luck more than anything really. So if you're still with me, how long is this video? 35 minutes in. Well done, you deserve a prize. I'm nearly done. Just going to ink up that sentiment again. I wouldn't normally use a great big block like this. I've now recently ordered one of the thin blocks, which is perfect for sentiments. I've got a nice smudge on that. So just line that up. It just fits it, which is good. And I will put this one on with dimensionals, just lift it a little bit. I can't pick it up. That's going to sit on there and hopefully just distract you from the fact that that is not straight. But hey, we're not perfect, are we? So last little bits on this. I hope it's given you some inspiration to have a go. And if one of the cards doesn't quite turn out right, never mind. I've wasted there a quarter of one piece of DSP. We're talking pennies. And you could put that up there. I want to put that there just to cover up that unstraightness. Like that. Even that's not straight. That was just destined never to look particularly good. So we'll keep that at the bottom of the pile. And then we've got this one. This one, and I think my favourite, this one. So thank you very much for joining me today. This is part of the Share It on a Sunday with my two crafty friends, Karen and Victoria. So I've left links to their projects as well in the blog that I've made. And as I said before, the link to that is in the description bar. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.